this tank, Henschel going for the Panther-like slope design, while Porsche did go for a design with a rear-mounted turret. This, by the way, is represented in the game by the VK4502B heavy tank. In the end, the Henschel design won, so after the Tiger 1 they could also produce the Tiger 2 as well. The first 50 production vehicles, however, used a different, more heavily sloped turret, which is often referred to as the Porsche turret, although the fact is that this was actually a design by manufacturer Krupp, and it was designed for both prototypes. Later versions of the Tiger 2 used a more simplified Henschel turret with the well-known flat frontal armor. About 1500 of these steel behemoths were ordered, so slightly more than the about 1350 Tiger 1s produced. However, the constant Allied air raids severely disrupted the German production at this stage of the battle. 5 bombing runs during autumn 1944 almost completely destroyed the floor area of the Henschel factory, eventually limiting the Tiger 2's production to about 657 completed tanks. The Tiger 2 was without doubt a mighty foe on the battlefield, capable of fighting against overwhelming odds in strong positions. Its frontal armor was almost impenetrable by the anti-tank guns of the time. In fact, there is no reliable evidence that any King Tiger would have been ever penetrated through the frontal armor during combat. The long 88mm gun used on the Tiger 2 also far outclassed its opposition and could easily take out any enemy tank frontally at ranges exceeding 2.5 kilometers, which is well beyond the effective firing range for the Allied anti-tank guns. To give you an idea of its effectiveness, the 103rd SS Heavy Panzer Battalion destroyed approximately 500 enemy armored vehicles between January to April 1945 on the Eastern Front at the cost of only 45 Tiger 2s, most of which were actually destroyed by their own crews because of mechanical breakdowns or because simply running out of fuel. The Tiger 2s were not invincible though. A flanked or an ambushed Tiger 2 was a very dead Tiger 2, as the enemy tanks of the time were more than capable of penetrating its side armor at a good enough angle. So, this was it with a quick look at the rich history of the King Tiger. Let's turn our attention now to what we actually get for our time and effort when we finally unlock this beauty in the game. Starting with the gun, I'm really happy to say that we are right away at one of the strong points of this machine. Well, at least if you are using the top 105mm gun, that is. The Tiger 2 is definitely one of those machines that really have to be fully upgraded before you can really start appreciating them, but oh, it's definitely worth the grind. A solid over 1900 DPM is made up of a standard 320 alpha damage and an actually quite good rate of fire of 6 rounds a minute. What's even better is the 225mm of average pen on the standard armor-piercing rounds. That's beautiful for a Tier A tank, and that will definitely help you fight those bloody IS-3s as well frontally, no problem. And the good news are still not over. You have a solid 8 degrees of gun depression, and the 1100 meter per second shell velocity is simply amazing on a standard AP round. This will certainly help you hitting snapshots and also moving targets. But that's not all. You also have best-in-class accuracy at 0.3 meters, further reinforced by great dispersion values all over the place. Oh, and you only have to aim for 2.4 seconds as well to benefit from all of this, and you can use vertical stabilizer, so overall, this is an extremely precise little gun with good penetration to go with it. Moving over to the protection, you have a really good health pool actually of 1600 HP, which will definitely allow you to take some beating. That is, if they manage to go through your armor in the first place, because you definitely have a lot of that too. You just have to know how to use it effectively. Now looking at the armor profile in detail, we can see that frontally, even with all that angling, the upper plate only offers about 200mm of protection, and the lower plate has about 180mm of effective armor. This will do great against a lot of the tier 6 and 7 enemy tanks, but the same and higher tiered opposition will have no problem penetrating it if you don't angle it further. The turret from the front is a mixed bag, as your gun mantlet is actually super small and all around it only 185mm of penetration will be plenty to go through it. They can also shoot the cupola on top of the machine that has only 160 mm of armor, though it has to be said that this is a rather small target, fortunately. Now the troll part about the turret is that the sides and the top are all auto bounce zones and can't be overmatched, so if they don't manage to hit your weak spots, you will keep bouncing like a boss. From the sides, thanks to a little bit of angling, you have about 85 mm of armor both on the hull and on the turret, and by the way the side of the turret is a huge target. And from the rear you have about 85 mm on the turret and 90 mm on the ass of the tank. Now this might not sound amazing, but consider this. This is actually enough armor to mitigate HE damage considerably, and it's also thick enough so it can't be overmatched if you angle it perfectly. The best way to make use of your armor is to side-scrape around the corner, angling your hull so it's an auto bounce zone. As you aim at the target, the turret sides and the top are auto bounce zones as well, so they will have to hit you in that very small part of the turret front around the gun that will be only visible for a short time as you peek out to take your shot. Get yourself in a position like this, and you will keep bouncing high-caliber shells all day long. Moving on swiftly to the mobility, we will finally start to see a couple of drawbacks, or better to say, you will actually move like you would expect it from a heavy tank. The 38 km/h top speed is actually rather good, but you have one of the worst power-to-weight ratios with below 10 horsepower per ton, so even with the better than average terrain resistances, you shouldn't expect to zoom around the battlefield. And you will be significantly slower than, for example, an IS-3. The traverse speeds are on this average side as well, with 28 degrees per sec, both on the hull and on the turret as well, so while it's not particularly bad, you can get into trouble if someone in a fast machine starts to circle strafe you. And last but not least, you have an excellent 390 meter view range and 740 meter radio range. As for the camo, well, it is what it is for a heavy tank, though just for completion's sake you are not one of the stealthier heavies, but it's not impossibly bad either, like on those Japanese monstrosities. Now you are also a heavy tank weighing over 70 tons, so if you manage to get up to a decent speed downhill for example, you are actually quite a good rammer. Equipment-wise, I suggest to use the standard high-tier heavy tank setup, meaning a gun rammer, vents and vertical stabilizer. While for the crew skills, I would start with 6 sense and repairs, followed by snapshot, clutch braking, situational awareness and wet stowage, followed by brothers in arms. Alright, this was a quick overview of the Tiger II, a really capable heavy tank and a side-scraping master. It's an overall great heavy tank for its tier, and if you can put it in some strong positions and avoid being outflanked by mediums and lights, you can carry a lot of games in it. But enough of just talking about this German masterpiece, let's take it out for a spin and see how it performs on the battlefield. Alright, so here we are in our Tiger II, this time around in a standard battle on the good old El Halouf map. Now we are in a heavy tank and we are on El Halouf, so the decision making for the start of the match will be really simple. Go to A1, A2 and kill everything before you. Right, sounds like a good enough plan. Now the matchmaking is actually rather nice. Probably about half of the teams are tier 8s and the rest is tier 7s and quite a few tier 6s actually, with some even tier 5 light tanks, Jesus. So yeah, I don't think we will have to load any APCR rounds, which is great because I actually don't have any in this machine. At least when not at the time when I was recording this. But 225mm of pen should be plenty to deal with those guys even with the IS-3 frontally. And hitting weak spots with this gun shouldn't be no problem either if it will be necessary. Now I have to say we definitely have the heavy advantage against the enemy team, although they have more mediums which can be trouble. At least we also have a very seasoned TVP player on our side as well, so hopefully all will be fine. Now during this match we are lucky enough because we can actually demonstrate the strengths of this machine, which is a great gun and great armor as well. Or better to say, great armor if you can put it in strong positions, cause you can be surprisingly easily penetrated by quite a lot of guns. I mean, I will be able to punish and bully around some of those tier 7s and definitely tier 6 and below. But a lot of the more dangerous guns can easily go through you if you don't angle it perfectly. Now luckily this corner is absolutely ideal. We only have to reveal about half of our turret, so unless they hit very precisely next to our gun, we should be able to bounce from the top and side of the turret. There we see, nice little ricochet ramp from the back, casual ass wiggle. If you angle the signs well, there is nothing on the enemy tree that would be able to overmatch it. So that means they will just keep on bouncing from our sides or detracking us. Now this is a very aggressive play here and one that could easily go very sour very fast. And that's because there is a very dangerous T-rate artillery and M4043 on the enemy team. And that position is as open as it can get in this corner of the map, so we are actually very lucky that artillery didn't focus us down. Luckily, the push is followed up by our teammates as well, which means we should be able to get into a great position here in the corner and then just keep on punishing these guys. At this IS-3, what will you do? Oh, you will bounce. What a surprise. This is, by the way, bounce number 5 already, so you can see how awesome this machine is. Now, Leopard, I really hope you don't want to drive in front of me. I messed this one up a little bit. Be interesting to see where it actually hit. I might have revealed a little bit too much from the upper plate, or maybe they hit the front of the turret, because that one is actually very flat. So, a lot of stuff on this corner. An ISU-152, it's a dangerous one. Hopefully we can get rid of that gun as soon as possible. A T-54 Mod 1, where we actually have to aim a little bit because it's quite bouncy actually. A very unfortunate Tiger P, which shouldn't be much of a problem really, as the Mod 1 only can blow our tracks off. And an IS-3 as well, which we can definitely keep on bouncing if we are careful with that angling. It has actually the same 225mm of penetration, so if we over-angle, he will go through. If we are careful, we can bounce him all day long. So this is pretty much the Sidescraper's dream. Again, bounce after bounce, just straighten it out. Nice one there as well. And now we can be a little bit more aggressive. We have to be careful. Now they did take our track off, so most probably the T-54 Mod 1 can now come around. But he messes up the shot. That was a very bad shot on his part. He missed his opportunity. He is by now flanked by the TVP, so we can basically just murder this guy from two sides. So far so good. On our front at least we are on 2600 damage already. The TVP is already on 4 kills, but we are actually behind the tank, so our team didn't exactly do all too well. Actually right now we are behind on 2 tanks. So we have a decision to make, because we are a heavy tank, so we can't really zip around the flanks all the time. Now I decided to go back and take care of the Rudy, also defend our cap with that Leopard, and the Comet come around and maybe pressure the cap, go after the artillery, and oh, hello Rudy, goodbye Rudy. Not really fair, is it? But it was definitely fun. So I decided to come over here. It seems that the TVP and the MUTs are absolutely capable of pressuring that cap by themselves. So at the moment I'm closing the distance toward them. I can also take shots to the middle from this position. And this is when the Comet appears on the other side. And the Leopard as well, and they take out the ARS. So let's get back. Nope, I won't have a shot from here. So, decision time again. Alright, probably I should have gone back to the cap. Continuing on my way after taking out Rudy. Look at how slow this machine is. just below 10 horsepower per ton power to weight ratio, we were falling down to 5 km per hour going uphill. And true enough, the tracks were actually damaged, but yeah. Now going downhill, there will be no problem to reach that 38 km per hour, even exceed it a little bit. And this is the ideal opportunity. Oh, if we could crash into